Good afternoon, beloveds. I am Alyssa Miller, host of The Chosen Heroes, and thank you so much for joining me here today. It is always such an honor and a privilege to spend my Sunday with each and every one of you. I'm getting error messages and such, up on my screen here, but we're going to roll with it. Because what I've learned from this week, especially, is, the dark forces that are, attacking us are really trying to get us to stumble. And we're not going to allow that. I don't accept that as my reality, and I don't receive it. So it's almost like we have to get into a boxing ring, and we're, getting swung at with the lefts and the rights and all of that. We're navigating through it. I'm not even seeing that my comments are streaming or connecting. Oh wait, here now it comes in. Hi there, Venice, Florida. Yes, hi. So glad to see you. At first, I thought nobody was going to be able to connect in and give some comments today. So glad you're here. But as I was saying, we have to roll with the punches, the hooks and the jabs and the uppercuts, right? We got to continue to remain flexible and not go into, be the water, not the rock, that whole philosophy. We've got to be able to roll with it, because no matter what, we've got to maneuver and counter move what is going on and against us on a daily basis. So I wanted to first shout out and say we need to pray for our precious guest that was originally scheduled today. Her name is Martha Sheehan. She had visited a friend and was exposed to some dust. And ever since then, it took her voice away from her. And her granddaughter is also experiencing some effects with this. So we just need to lift Martha up in prayer, and we're going to pray victory over her and her granddaughter's lives, and that God's healing will come through, and his anointing will heal her body, and that she is able to attend the Chosen Heroes at another time. So I'm going to go into the week in review for targeted justice. I'm going to add that to the screen right now. All right. So digital warriors, keep up the great work, but we got to press in even harder, because, again, we have created a stirring out there, and the darkness doesn't like it. So we need to continue on forging on, up our game in getting that information out there, because we are on fire with the information. People are responding. I've had more people, asking about what the targeting is, and wondering if they are themselves going through it. Again, we are reaching new people out there, and that's what we need to do. We need to focus on reaching new people that are not even aware, and giving them this valuable knowledge for themselves and their families and those that they love, right? Because there has been many people who have been experiencing an increase in the attacks. So that means we're winning. The devil is nervous, so we got to keep going. We urge you to contact new FBI Deputy Director Dan, I'm probably mispronouncing his last name, Bongino, to investigate the blacklisting of TIs. And I have his handle on the screen now, in addition to his email address. So again, if you're not on social media, you can send an email to him, Daniel Bongino at ic.fbi.gov. Send those messages and ask for him to investigate the blacklisting of us, because that's where it all started with, is we were blacklisted and put on the terrorist screening database. Now they call it the threat screening database, threat screening center. Trying to make it more palatable, because, what has our message been? We've been saying, how could we be put on a terrorist list? We're not terrorists. We are law-abiding civilians, and we've done nothing wrong. So then now there's a relabel. Now they're the threat screening center, not buying it, right? So we won't be swept under the rug. And Targeted Justice is still working toward restoring the website. The archived link to the Targeted Justice page is on the screen. Judge James Boschberg, there's a Substack on 319 for Targeted Justice, which states that, he is responsible for allowing the FBI to illegally spy on us and to send the gang stalkers from the fusion centers into our lives. A Nuremberg trial is deserved on him for sure, because he's purely deep state. If you were being stalked between 2014 and 2021, he was responsible for approving the FBI's illegal FISA warrants to do all this, right? So more information can be found on that article from March 19 on Targeted Justice Substack. We ask that you visit the Targeted Justice Rumble page. Much of the content has been dubbed into different languages: German, Japanese, Spanish, and more. So please go find those and share those as well. Valuable content being translated so that more people can understand about these programs and what's being done. Dr. Lindbergh, he presented at the 13th Global Forensic Medicine webinar titled Challenges in Collecting Diagnosed Cases of Havana Syndrome and its Anomalous Health Incidents in the Civilian Population. That presentation can be found for replay on Targeted Justice's X page. I have posted it on the Chosen Heroes as well. And then Dr. Lindbergh's personal page. His handle on X is at PSARDONICUS. And always make sure that you set reminders and be aware and tune in to Targeted Justice Twitter X page, because they have reoccurring, X spaces that they host with really great content. And also, another great resource for TIs is www.tievents.org. There's so many good things. Tomorrow is going to be the Victory Through V2K. Lindsay can host the call. It's one of my favorites. It's how my first attended conference call was Victory Through V2K. And for those with V2K, it's such a great call. I will be there. I will state a prayer tomorrow and read some positive affirmations. So please tune in. You're in for a real treat. So also, I wanted to put on the screen too. Here are just some of the handles that are on X from our digital warriors. So please, we need more digital warriors. Please become one. All right, I have some sad news. It's very bittersweet. I already had told you that Martha had to cancel due to illness for today, but Armando Delatoro is graciously stepping in as our guest speaker, and I really appreciate him helping out on a pinch here. Next week was supposed to be Dr. Anna Mahalcha. She announced on Substack, I believe it's yesterday late, that she is retiring from public presentations and appearances. Her Substack is going to remain open with all the valuable content. She's just, pioneer on transhumanism and the knowledge and the protocols that can be taken to counter those nanoparticulates and all that has been, wreaking havoc on our bodies through this bioweapons that is being used on us. Again, just a wealth of information. What I will do is I will go through and document some protocols based off of her research and studies for detoxing, because that was what the podcast was going to be about, was detoxing from the biotech that is in our systems. So please look for a future episode regarding detoxing protocols for that technology. Also, the guest that was going to appear on April 6th had to cancel as well, but fear not. I will either have another guest lined up in these 2 slots, or I myself will present based off of my research. And for me, what I do, and I give the glory to God, and and the discernment, and to hear his voice and to see between what is being said and into this world. And it is he alone who guides me and directs me. So with that, if we're having people that have canceled, then God will lead the way, and it'll be what is supposed to be, because we trust in him for that. On April 13th, Doug from the Gang Stalking Show, if you've watched his podcast before and his YouTubes, he will be with us in April. And Valdemir de Olivia he is also the targeted justice for VP Latin. He hosts out of Brazil. So he will be on The Chosen Heroes. And Lindsay Penn, who is the host of Victory Through V2K and the VP of PR and Communications, she will be at the end of the month on April. I also want to remind everybody that next Saturday is the kickoff call for the bi-weekly working sessions with where Jamie Rice and myself are co-hosting the Targeted Individual Combat Training. And again, this is a focus on inner healing and, getting the cognitive tools that is needed to create that, cyber cryptic mind, and countering this mind control technology. First and foremost, we really got to get our connection with God and put our focus on the light in raising our personal vibration, because that is so detrimental to these mind control programs that are being used to manipulate us. So please, if you're interested, send me an email. I've got a list going. I will then send out next week a how to connect to the conference call. And it will not be the podcast. It will be a live conference call. It's going to be participation in there where there's interaction between the callers and Jamie and myself, along with the content. And again, it's the kickoff call. Email me, chosen_heroes@proton.me if you're interested in attending the call next Saturday. All right. I'm going to go into the prayer for today and the word that I received. I'm going to say the freedom from deception prayer, because I can't tell you how important it is to have spiritual warfare prayers involved in this situation with these mind control technologies. So God, I thank you for each and every one that is in attendance, and I thank you for those who may tune in later or those who may watch at a later time. You are our shepherd, God. You are our beacon light. You are our hope. You go before us and you stand behind us and you cover us. You cover us from all the layers of deception being used against us, Lord. Today, we take a stand against any deception that is coming against our bodies through words, frequencies, technologies, subliminal programming, and V2K wording used against us that are trying to root themselves, the darkness within us, and you are countering it. We bind the deception right now in your name, God, and we reject any attempt of darkness to get us to buy into a lie. We ask that every veil of illusion be removed from our eyes, that we will not be blinded by opinions, thoughts, and ideas of others that come against us, but we will know the true voice of God. And we stand on your word and your promise, God, that you set the captives free. And we declare today, God, that we are free from all deception and manipulation. We are open to receiving everything that is meant for us. We are your children, God, and we believe in your power to create the miracles and the pathways in our lives that is needed. And we trust that what we desire is on our way to us right now. And we are grateful for everything that is about to unfold in our lives. And we thank you, God. Amen. I want to go into a word that was given to me this morning. God likes to do that. He likes to drop some information right before I go live, and I get out the pen and I start, or the computer, and I start typing it out, and it starts flowing because it is him. God revealed to me that there has been this agenda, and there is right now, of course, set by man, flesh, that is fueled by greed and control and manipulation to dominate and create enslavement over God's children. And we're born and we're automatically taught that what we strive for is we got to get into the workforce, we got to create our families and do what's right, we got to pay our taxes, and we can get lured into this debt trap, right? Wanting the material possessions, trying to keep up with things, the raising prices, the economy, and all of this, and we're spending most of our lives, trying to repay, these comforts and all of this that man is entraining us to need and want, and to distract us off of God and what he wants for us, and we get into that trap of spending most of our lives into this repayment. And look at how our taxes and our money are being used against us to torture us, and this research and all of that is going on. And then what we're striving for to achieve is to get to retirement. But in this day and age, it's becoming harder and harder to even be able to retire because of the ever demanding taxes and increases of the economy that has led us to where we are today, right? And then by the time that we get to a place where, we are ready or can, then our bodies are failing us, and we don't have much time left to enjoy the fruits of all our hard work and our labor. And in this day and age, we're under such attack. And the agenda with all these bioweapons is to hack into our souls and our DNA and what God created. And those bioweapons are attacking our brain and our central nervous system and, shortening our lifespan, right? The holistic agenda to get us disconnected through this bioweaponry to not even be able to connect with God. Some have even said that once they've had injections and such, that they no longer felt their connection to him. So we've got to strive every single day to connect with the light and to connect with God, because this man-made bioweaponry that is attacking our bodies is wanting us to shut off from him and to be this cyborg mutated existence of what God designed us to be. We have got to step back and step in to the light. We've got to keep that connection, because that what they are spinning us into is this oppression, and God's not going to have it. He's let me very clear to me, he is not going to allow this to happen. We need to stay plugged into God and not into technology. Because if we stay plugged into the technology and buying the lies and the manipulation that is being fed to us, we don't have any hope. Our hope is in him. Okay? The government, I mean, it's hard for me to explain this because God lets me feel it and I'm just translating it. So what I felt this morning is how the government has sold us out. You know, like when you get on a web page and you subscribe or buy something, and you subscribe to some services, and then all of a sudden you start getting all this solicitation kind of related to or similar to what service or thing that you just bought, right? So it's like when companies who sell out the mailing list, and then that you for a price, and then you start getting bombarded with all this solicitation. All of a sudden, you didn't consent to that. And sometimes they're really clever about how they're going to sell you out to a mailing list. If you're not paying attention to opt out of it, then that happens, right? But this is very different. What is being done on our bodies and against our bodies, we had no visibility to that. They were able to, when you went in for a surgery or a procedure, and when you signed that consent form, basically saying if something happens, then you have no course to or grounds to sue them. Somewhere within all of that is lumped into this bioweapon stuff, I believe. So the government, who was responsible for us being blacklisted, so it's almost like a, kind of like a corralling of sorts. Because what they did, and this is what I felt very led by God that was shown to me, is what they did is they took the collection of those that they blacklisted and they're using bioweapons on us to hack into us. And again, that could be a number of ways that they do it, right? It could be implants, it could be frequencies, it could be the nanoparticulates, the DARPA dust, it could be all these things, right? So there's a plethora. Remember, Robert Duncan said there's many of these programs out there. So it's not everybody's going to have the same experience when it comes to this biohacking. All right. So what the government did once they got us blacklisted is then they're selling our bio info, right, out to companies, organizations, universities, and research facilities. And so consider us kind of being on a dark web of sorts that is all bio interference, manipulation, and hacking related. And then they take it from there doing their researches too. So there's a lot of tentacles to this madness, and all of it has a connection to money and control and overpowering the organic structure that God designed. Okay. So there's so much. So God's showing and downloading all this information to me today about how many entities are involved with this madness against our bodies that we did not consent for. In addition, you've got the government, the military element of it on the surveillance front, mining the crops here of what they've done, while the other entities are out there doing their bio research and testing and collecting information at the expense of our bodies, our minds, and everything. So all of this coming through. It's very crucial that we raise our vibration and stay connected to God under these times, because this is truly spiritual warfare, and our soul is the prize. Because if they get a hold of our soul and they hack it to where we cannot connect with God in the light, then they win. We're running on autopilot and there's no God or us behind driving it. We cannot get into this cyborg mess of what they're striving to do. So God said to me today that we need to take time to enjoy the gift of life and not get up and caught up into the traps of man and of the world. We got to stay focused on him. He's our shield and our covering. Because when we're connected to the light, it loosens the grips of these oppressive mind control programs. Very clear today. Isaiah 14. Okay, so in summary of what that means is it describes in Isaiah 14 the downfall of the king of Babylon, and by extension, a symbolic representation of the fall of pride and the ultimate victory of God over evil, including the symbolic fall of Satan, which all of what's being done to us is definitely evil and satanic, right? Isaiah 14 reinforces God's sovereignty and the fact that his plans cannot be interfered with. These evil forces have interfered on God's children. The judgment of the wicked and the ultimate victory of God over evil, promising rest and freedom from bondage. I keep getting this over and over again. God is not going to let this happen. There is an illusion out there of transparency, but only a couple of breadcrumbs. He's not happy with that. When you open the door proclaiming transparency and authenticity and truth, and only put a couple of breadcrumbs and don't follow up with the breadcrumbs that are out there, then you've just opened the door for God to come on through with real transparency, real authenticity, and real truth. This is a message I've always gotten. We have got to reconcile our hearts, because that the despair and the trauma and the pain and the suffering and the affliction is what these mind control programs thrive on. There is such a deception and manipulation that we have to just sit here and take this madness. We don't have to sit here and take this. What we have is our voice, which is our greatest weapon. And we need to continue to use it. We need to enjoy things. How much time has this targeting robbed you in your life? How much time? It's robbed too much of mine. I could have been doing things that I really loved and enjoyed, like things that I deprive myself of because I'm fixated on research and other things too. Music, being outdoors, some sunshine. We need to embrace God's gifts and not take advantage of that and not let the enemy win over our lives. So that was my message from today that I received and I wanted to share with you. So without further ado, let me bring Armando to the stage. Armando, the camera still isn't working, but that's okay. We can work around that.
Well, yeah, I was actually working on it while you were talking, trying to get it going, but I couldn't get it going, so I'll have to work on it after this. I'm using a different browser, so it might be that.
No worries, because the content, which is what you'll share with us, it'll still be delivered and received. Amen. So.
Amen.
All right. So why don't you explain to us with a recent video that I had played last week, where you had used a Gauss meter, which was the Gauss master, right?
Right. Right.
And so how did you modify that? You made it more sensitive, because can you explain why you had to make it more sensitive? Because wasn't it
Well,
like through the FCC frequencies, they were polluting it with noise in comparison to, some recent years, they kind of were adding more into layers to kind of veil it.
right. They were bringing the noise floor up around their nefarious signals, so that it makes it very hard for anybody looking on an analyzer to see it. But it's a basic Gauss meter. It's an analog. That's what we like about it. And all I did was take the output and increase the gain of the output to the actual meter, the needle, the actual meter that with the needle that moves. I took the output from the circuitry before the meter and amplified it, so to speak, so that it picks up even the minute um, pulses that are being directed towards us, because these short RF pulses are very, very strong, but very, very hard to catch because of the short bursts. Um, Pulsed RF is much more powerful than continuous wave RF, um, and is the reason how they can efficiently hit everybody through the walls and through the windows, um, and still, be miles away. But
Yeah.
for the most part, we're amplifying the signals that are being directed towards us, so that makes it easier for us to see it, rather than just seeing the needle move barely, one or two little slots. It actually will peg the needle all the way to the red, with any minute pulse that is sent to you. So I think I've already done about 4 or 5 of them, um, for Lighthouse, and I've kept one, and it's amazing. Like, I've gone to the gas station and handed out the flyers about the illegal tracking with the satellites, and I let the random person, not even a TI, let the person hold it, and they didn't even have to put it above their head, and it started pegging the needle once per second, just like Lighthouse said. Like he's been saying. Um, and I even think one of them was a perp, because at first he didn't want to seem like he didn't want to talk to me, but after showing him with the guy behind the counter, which I know the guy at Bucky's here where I live. um, he started acting more interested on what I was saying, and he held the meter, and he was actually surprised, like, yeah, you're being tracked too, man. So everybody's being tracked, whether you're a TI or a perp or just a non TI person. Everybody's being tracked, and we know that these microwave pulses cause brain damage, and our kids are being pulsed. And I had my daughter hold the meter, and she was being pulsed, and it just makes me very angry, that there's
It,
no.
it's it's just madness.
Yes, it is.
The public has to wake up. We are all having this done. The targeted community has just been used for, experimenting and refining this
Right.
technology to introduce into this mass surveillance and
Right.
mass
which,
control.
which they've been already implementing or trying to implement on the masses for a while now.
And unfortunately, probably, I mean, I really do believe firmly that there's something about the targeted community that set us aside, set us apart from some of the others in terms of entrainment. I would say that our minds are a bit more unhackable, and there's something about us. I believe. Not saying that, I'm not trying to discredit other people, but, and again, it could be just as simple as wanting to raise awareness and speak against corruption and things being done against other, people that are harmful. That right there is a counter to the agenda, right? If
Right.
we were just going to sit there and not say anything and look the other way and not speak
Like
up,
like most people do.
right, and then but they can get on their phone and film it. I think people who are filming stuff that is violently being done against someone else and just sitting there filming it and not doing anything to help, my mind cannot compute that. So, and
Yeah, and if you try to stand up for that person, like these last 4 years, you would be put to jail. Be sent to jail and charged when you were just helping somebody. They were criminalizing people that were standing up for other people. But that's
exactly.
over with. Yeah, that's over with. But we still have those corrupt left wing socialist judges that have a communist mind that they are power above all, but they really ain't.
It's such a
Um,
lack of respect for life and
it,
all that is living. These
right, and
people put themselves in a superior position of judgment that we are just can be done with whatever sick little idea that they come up with to kind of bait us and play around with us. It really is sick, and unfortunately things trickle from the top, right? There's a
oh
lot
yeah,
of sick at the top controlling the strings of people. There's this big unveiling of how all of these decisions of the past have been made at the result of incentive, and at the brunt end of that incentive is harm and torture on innocent people,
yeah,
because
and
the money was more important, the incentive was more important than somebody's life.
right, and but that's the whole part about greed that God talks about, and how they will pay for what they've done. You know,
And well, I mean,
it,
whether they
it's
like it or not, you cannot throw off God and His plan. And so
that's right.
I really think that in the next, I think there's still going to be something really big by the end of this month. I think next month is it's going to be a hunker down of sorts. Just stay centered. That's all I can say. And then May is going to be. I just feel it. It's going to continue to lead up because we're already seeing lots of movement. It's going to continue to ramp up,
I
and
agree. I agree.
I feel blessed that we get to witness the power of God and the divine force interacting and coming through on this, because like I said, if you open that door with the promise of transparency, truth, and justice, and all of that, and only do so much, you just let God in to continue to shine out more, and
Yep.
we're a part of that. And this is going to be like, there's so many tentacles of what is being done with what they have taken from us and our bodies, and documenting our torture and all of that, and they've sold it out to all of these different entities for consumption, and all of it needs to be revealed. um,
It
so the
will.
Gauss,
It will.
the yes. So the Gauss meter, isn't it only about like $35 or so? I was trying to
It
find the link for it.
Yeah, I think you could buy it on eBay or the actual website. I don't know if they have an actual website. Lighthouse brought me a box and told me make this more sensitive. Do whatever you got to do. So it took me about a week of on and off messing with it, but I finally figured out which circuit to use. And I'm only adding a operational amplifier to it. Um, but the gain on it can be adjusted with the little screwdriver. So you can make it really, really sensitive, and it'll peg all the way to the red with just any EMF present around you, or you can
Hmm.
adjust it to where it's a little more reasonable, where you can actually see the pulses from the satellites and the cell towers, and make easy to see if they're either coming from the cell tower or the satellite. um, but we definitely, I think we did a good job on getting something that's simple, it's analog, and it's easy to mod to make it extra sensitive. Um, so I'm really happy. We're happy with how it's working. Um, and
There,
you, you,
there is a
but
there's a website too. I'm going to try to type this out. I was looking it up. If you don't find it on, it's called Gauss Master. If you don't find it there is one on lessemf.com.
correct.
Product. Let me get that full website up.
Now, Lighthouse was asking me if I wanted to, because people started asking. I even had people email my wife on the Silent Night platform about the
Mm-hmm.
Gauss meter. So I've been thinking about maybe buying a few of them and doing the mod to them, and then just turning around selling them back out for a little more than what they cost for the people that want them. Um, but just I'm still working on figuring out how I'm gonna do all that.
And what if they went ahead and bought it and sent it to you? Would that work too?
That would work too.
If they've already ordered it? Because I know
Right.
I just put
That would be the easiest thing, I think, because it'll save us from having to put out that the extra money to buy them, and we don't know how many people are gonna buy them, so we don't want to have a bunch of stock,
yes.
and so I think if you buy one, you can send it to us, and we can have it uh, done within a day or two, and have it back to you after that, shortly after.
That's excellent. Great find, cost effective.
Yep.
I I myself have a tri-field, and it's very surprising how the magnetic. Sometimes it's some RF. Some of it is the magnetic, but these tracking signals are actually coming from, I believe, what Richard Lighthouse has stated, the
Locators from the satellites.
from the Boeing, right, and then the
Right.
Lockheed Martin GPS satellites, the
Correct.
tracking. And yeah, I had some.
And if you have a spectrum analyzer with a LNA, you can see those frequencies that they're using. I see them. I can see them. If you know what you're looking for, it's kind of quiet around that band that they use on everybody, so it's fairly easy to see. But they recently added the 5G bands very close to the frequencies they use. So I think they did it on purpose.
Try to
Um,
camouflage it.
Kind of, yeah. Try to for people that don't know what they're looking at.
Hmm.
It'll be very confusing, but I was seeing them. I've been seeing them for the past 4 years since I started, 4 or 5 years since I started signal analyzing and getting into that. I saw it when the band was completely quiet. There's nothing with left or right of that band. 3800, 3600 megahertz, and now there's some 5G stuff going on there. So, but it's still very easy to see if you have a decent analyzer. But this Gauss meter, it's gonna it's gonna show you if you're standing in the middle of the yard when there's no power lines around you, you shouldn't get any EMF, right? So that being said, if you have no phone on you or anything, that Gauss meter shouldn't be pegging. It's gonna peg, and you can set it down and walk away from it, and it'll stop moving. Walk back up to it, and it's so
It,
sensitive now. It'll start picking it up before you even grab it. It'll start picking up the pulses from the satellites that they're using to track you.
so that's very important. You've got to set the stage for doing some measurements, like Armando said. You need to be out and away from um, some the towers and your
Well, your
cell
house
phone.
and your
Yeah,
house.
no cell phone near you, nothing like that, because it's going to pick up on it. So you got to
Right.
kind of
Eh,
isolate
no,
your
eh,
own
yeah.
testing station.
And you'll be able to start learning the differences between signals. Like your cell phone will sound different and act different, and then the pulses going to your head will be different, and you'll be able to tell after a while of playing around with it of what is what. Your house power, if you get close to the lights, how it'll start sounding, or your appliances, and then compared to your phone or your Wi-Fi, they will all emit a different sound on this Gauss meter, and it's picking up on the waves, the EMF waves, and every frequency is going to be different. Every technology is going to be different for the most part, but it's very interesting to hear like the pulses that they hit with they use for my heart. Um, it's very distinct, and I can feel it when they start hitting the back of my back where my heart is. I have a spot on my back that's numb. It's about 3 inches in diameter now. Um, so you definitely be able to tell tower from satellite pulses after we um, modded with the little upgrade deal that we came up with. But
Yeah,
we
that's
we like it.
fantastic. You were able to make it more sensitive to pick up on the signals. I know that at one point Richard had mentioned a signal analyzer. I don't have the link. I should have researched that. But how can you go over some steps of what the proper use of a signal analyzer is, and if you have a recommendation, and how
Um,
one would use one?
I mean, yeah, you just have to have a highly directional antenna. Um, I like to use the RF space directional antenna that you can find on Amazon. The brand is RF Space, and it'll be ultra wideband antenna. They only have one that's ultra wideband on Amazon. That's it's very cheap for what it is, for what it does, and it's very wide banded, and it has a high gain, so the directionality of the antenna is very useful to pinpoint your sources. Um, that being said, as far as analyzers go, I've used a few of them in the past, but recently I've been using a Tiny SA Ultra. Um, I don't recommend to get anything that's electronic from Amazon. If you can find it on eBay or anywhere else, I highly recommend it.
And you
Um,
said that was a Tiny SA
eh,
Ultra?
yeah, yes, Tiny SA Ultra.
I was going to see if I could find the links.
Yeah, it's pretty popular.
If I can't find it, then I can look later and then get those links posted on the Chosen Heroes page.
Right.
Ultra wide. I'm looking band for the antenna. Okay, so that was ultra wideband. All right, you said RF space.
Correct. RF Space is the brand for that antenna, and it'll say UWB antenna, ultra wideband antenna, and it'll look like a
Green.
kind of, blue and black, I think. And
Okay.
it might have some green on it, but it'll look like a weird slotted panel antenna, kind of, um, with the degrees of a compass on top of it, or the face of a kind of like a compass and the degrees, and it'll have north, south, west, east on it. Um, it's made like that because it's used for direction finding of sources. Um, but I did want to mention the the next meet that Targeted Justice is going to have on the 12th of April, I believe, at
Mm-hmm.
9 a.m. We're going to have the meters and be scanning people. So if anybody wants to come and get scanned on the second Saturday of April of each month, it'll be at the 12th at 9 a.m. We're going to be there scanning um, anybody and everybody. Just wanted to put that out there.
Yes, for those in and around the Houston area or want to come to the meeting, It is the information is posted on within the Targeted Justice newsletter. I believe the one that went out today, if not yesterday. So that's awesome. So you'll be out there, and then also
Yep.
people could talk to you about your other services and products. Will you be demoing the Silent Night?
I will,
On
and I will have the other device that my wife has been recently using a lot, like every day. Um, she gets pulsed in the private areas a lot, as of recently, and she uses this device now that Anna also uses to stop those attacks to the private areas. So essentially, it's resetting their attempts to link up to whatever nanotech they have in that area. Because I'm pretty sure they're using the link for nefarious purposes, if you know what I mean. Um,
absolutely.
but that device is on our website. It's the Great Reset Zapper, um, and it's a lot cheaper than the Silent Night. But for anybody that has that issue of them pretty much being electronically harassed on your private area, um, the Great Zapper has been working for 100% of the people that have used it so far for stopping the leaking process um, of these criminals that are trying to
And
link
the
up
Zapper
to us.
also works
Or
for people who have the chips as well,
right.
the
Right,
implants.
and I made it for really for at first for the chronic pain that some people were having. I made one for my mom for her spine because she had osteoporosis, and I wanted her to stop taking the pain meds.
Hmm.
And for the most part, she has. And I made one for my neighbor. My neighbor, they're not TIs or anything, but she had a thing with her hip, and she didn't like taking pain pills, so I made her one, and she's been using it every day. Um, but for the most part, my wife she uses it multiple times a day. Every time they try to pulse her and create that link, and she gets the relief for about 4 or 5 hours. But they're very persistent with her. Um, Anna uses it every day. Um, our other TI friend that comes, I think you might know her, Oninye. She has the other podcast thing with the women's
Right.
podcast. Uh, she uses it too. I mean, they all get relief from using it, and I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but it seems like it is. So I'll definitely have that there too for people to try out and
Well, that's
see what.
incredible because I know some others that use that as well and have had some success. I was trying to go to your page and see if you had a picture of the little device.
I think I do. I'm still working on.
I see Dr. Clark's zapper
Yeah,
on here.
that's not that's the Dr. Clark.
That's a different one. That this is the
Right.
little one.
Yes, is the little one. There might not be a picture on there. I thought I did put one on there, but I was still working on the description and getting all that written typed up and published on the website. Um, because I want to put a good description about what it does and how it works. It's pretty simple, um, but I just wanted to make it to where people can easily read and get what it is and how it does and how it works. Um, so I'll be doing that in the next day or two, getting that done and publishing that on the website so people can read about it. Um,
So you call that one the little zapper, or what
the
is
Great
the
Reset, the
the
Silent Night,
great? Yes, the
yeah, Silent Night's
great
Great Reset.
reset.
Yeah,
Yes, the great
Klaus Schwab
reset.
has his Great Reset, and the Silent Night has its own, because that's exactly what it does. It literally resets whatever they're trying to do. Um, so you can get that relief. I know if I would have had something like that to stop the toothaches and tooth pains they were giving me before, I mean, I would have been using it all the time too back then. But they don't really hurt me anymore like they used to since the whole detox thing I started and we started. It's been very helpful, the whole detox. I mean, it's very important that people know that if you want to stop pain for the most part, get rid of the heavy metals from your body.
Yeah.
I cannot stress that enough. Get rid of the heavy metals in your body, and you won't be subjected to that pain anymore. The most you'll have to deal with is the heating of your tissue, your skin tissue,
Yeah.
which I can deal with that. I just take off more clothes if I get too hot. you
Yeah.
know, um, but as far as the
The
pain,
heavy metal detox is very, very, very important. So what detox protocol do you use? Do you use the
I
DMSA methylene blue or
no, we don't do any of the methylene blue, but we do the EDTA with the vitamin C, the binder blend, and the bentonite clay with the baths, the borax and Epsom salt baths. Um, and I can tell you, my gang stalking has almost disappeared. So whatever was on my body or in my body that the locals were using to track me, I don't think they're able to do it anymore. Um,
well, from what I understand, the DARPA smart dust, if you inhale it or if it gets on your skin, it's just like having an antenna.
right, right. So I think those baths really help with that. Um, I mean, for the last 2 weeks, the gang stalking has been very minimal. Um, they're always late to show up wherever I'm at. I don't get people to follow me in because I'm always working in pretty much the graveyard shift, so I don't get any more random cars that just pop out of some side roads when I'm going down the county road anymore. I'm alone the entire time that I leave the house and get to the main road. I'm alone for the first time in years. I've been experiencing alone time on the road, which is weird because I almost feel like there's something wrong or they're planning something. But it's I think they can't track me anymore like they used to, and I could tell that I could feel their intentions that they are pissed, they're mad, um, and I think many other TIs are having the same experience. Um, so we just stick
It
to what
really
works.
is. It is a combination of efforts. We have got to do the bodily detox.
Yep.
We've got to mentally shield, and we have to physically shield.
Right.
I mean, it really is a combination of all of those things that we have to take into consideration. So you said a binder blend, and
Right. Dr. Vosloo's binder blend has worked great for us. They're out of Utah, but all the bentonite or the binder blend has is activated charcoal, bentonite clay, Corella powder, and slippery elm extract. That's it.
Mhm.
Just those four things in a little capsule. And
Can you spell the doctor's names for those
yeah,
that are
Dr. Vosloo is Vosloo. I believe that's how you spell it.
okay? Dr. Boslow binder
Vosloo.
blend,
Uh-huh.
EDTA plus vitamin C. So, do you use Lipsinol vitamin C that passes the blood-brain barrier, or do you just use regular vitamin
We
C?
use the regular vitamin C with the rose hips. It's 1,000 milligrams, so it's like 1,100 percent of your daily value. Um, and I actually do a variation of the some. I'll chew a few of the little gummy vitamin C's, and then I'll take that one with the rose hips just to get different kinds, so that my body's able to absorb different kinds. Um, but we both noticed the difference. It's a big difference. My wife wasn't really into what I was doing at first until she started seeing the differences in my skin, and then how I react when I'm out in public, and so she started doing the baths and the detoxing along with me, and she does it now every day. Um, she wasn't too sure about the baths at first, but after she saw my skin and how, for she saw for herself how the following and the gang stalking has diminished, she started, opening her eyes to the baths, and now the baby and her do the baths too.
So on the bath, what I know you said borax.
Yeah, I do 2 cups of borax to 3 cups of salt. She does a little less, but it's okay. You just got to keep doing it. You have to keep up with it and
And
keep doing
hot
it.
water, right? How long
Right,
do you
as
have to
hot
soak?
as for at least 20 minutes. But I usually sit there for about an hour,
Yeah.
and relax. It's the only time I get to relax. I usually in the middle of the night, 2 in the morning. I take a break from work and from working on these orders, and go take a bath in the middle of the night. It's quiet, and I'm able to actually relax for a little bit before having to get back up and get back to it. But
So
you
on
were
the
saying,
bath, do you just do that a couple of times a week?
so I was doing it heavy at first, every day, and I was going heavy on both the borax and the salt. Um, but after a while, after about 2 or 3 weeks, I started uh, backing off on the amount I used, and just I do it every night. Um, but it didn't take but about a month of doing that, every day straight to to see the big difference in the results. Um, just with all the detoxing and getting sick. Like, I don't get sick anymore, and I rarely did before. But the baby going to school, she goes to school, she gets all brings back home all kinds of
Right.
toxins, from the other kids and stuff. And when she would get sick, my wife would get sick 2 days later, and I'd be the only one not sick. The last time they all got sick, my daughter's back teeth were coming in. She ended up getting an ear infection. My wife was pretty bad, and then my wife's mother stayed with us for about a week. She got really bad. I thought she was gonna die, and I was the only one up and still working, not sick. And my wife, that's when my wife really looked at me about the bats, and she's like, "Okay, the bats are doing something. It definitely works."
I have heard things about the detoxing baths, and more that I'm coming to realize about how this stuff is in our skin.
Right,
I've I've been trying some activated charcoal um, soap and two for daily use, and I'm on a supplement. It was a program. It was quite costly, but I've tried to keep up and continue it. But some of the supplements are, I think it's very important for the community to, our cellular health is under such attack by these invasive bioweapons. And what happens with, the bioweapons is the premature death of our cells, or the hardening around the cells where the good can't get in and the bad can't get out. So it just causes this backup of pollution and
right,
a
and
cell pollution.
and the
So
mitochondria too is it's a big
yeah, might
you know
and I was tested with high mitochondrial dysfunction, high oxidative stress, methylation imbalance, all of these things, and it's a result of being under attack for 13 years. And not knowing that I needed to take some bio action against what to counter what is being done against my body with these frequencies. There's so many things, there's so many good things out there, and more people are starting to become aware about the importance of these the natural supplements of, like, milk thistle and things of that nature, fulvic acid, and all of these things to kind of help. But after with the radiation, we're going to be very depleted in our B vitamins, and I know I showed a high deficiency in mine, and also the vitamin D, because again, with
right.
all of
You
these frequencies.
you have the MTHFR mutation, right?
I do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
like
the
my wife does, and she can't eat anything with folic acid. So it's very, they put folic acid in everything almost. It's almost impossible to find
folic,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so she takes her methylfolate, which is the actual natural version of the folic acid. It's the methylfolate and the K3, K2, and D3. Um, but she too was deficient on the D3 back when we were um, trying to conceive. You know, we had two miscarriages, um, and we went to the fertility doctor. You know, after going to a few doctors, they were just all trying to pump her up full of BS. Uh, that fertility doctor was a very good doctor, and found that she was deficient on vitamin D and K2, mostly vitamin D, and that's why we were having miscarriages. So he put her on a high dose of vitamin D and the K2, and sure enough, we got pregnant, and 6 years later, here we are with our
That's
daughter.
all. There are some really good doctors out there that really don't give up and what really want to help you get to what's going on.
Yep,
Uh,
there are, but they're hard to find.
few and far between, that
Yep,
is for
that's
sure.
true. That is true.
Um, do you have some guidance on how someone can shield, a room versus their home versus on the go? Some tips that you could give the community on what actions they can take that can kind of, you know, better create that safe space for them.
Um, if you use chicken wire and energize it, like for example, with like a silent night or any kind of spark gap, just to energize the create that field, that shield. Just make sure you use the smallest hold chicken wire possible. Um, you know, if not chicken wire, you can use a Faraday fabric, and energizing that to
Like
help block.
energizing it, like connecting it to the
So,
Silent Night or
right, or a
with
similar
clips.
device. Right, correct. Um, that's pretty much how I stopped the toothaches, and the fake toothaches and the tooth pain, was using a grid, a small hold grid, and energizing it with a high voltage output, and essentially was able to sleep after them keeping me up for all day and night, hurting. They had me rolling down on the ground for at some points, where it was just the worst I've ever felt. Toothaches can be bad, but I ain't never felt nothing like that before, where they had me on the ground rolling around, just try to get away from the pain. I'm sure they were laughing, but I'm laughing now because I figured out how to stop the harsh effects of their RF pulses and their BS. Um, it attenuates most of the attacks, but for the most part, whatever goes through is not going to be enough to do anything. Um, you know, as far as on the go, I really don't have anything in the truck other than using the one-way mirror tint. Um, that helps with the laser tracking. I've just recently started testing that, because I've
Okay, so like the mirrorized tint on
right,
your
like the
windows.
right, like the you buy it for your house windows, to help with during the day, to help block some of the UV, to help cool down the house. But during the day, you can't see in at all. You can see out, but you can't see in. Now at night, if you have a light on the inside of the house, somebody outside will be able to see in. That's the only thing with that one way mirror. But it helps bounce that IR laser that they use from these cell towers to track you or burn you, whichever they're doing. Um, because I discovered that they're tracking us using the ultra or infrared lasers from these cell towers, and it's on the same frequency range that the cops use for the laser speed detection from their guns. So that's how they hide it. They're hiding. They're using the same frequency as what the police use. So anybody that has any kind of detector will just think it's a cop or something. But after a while, you start looking at the patterns and you figure out, okay, this is a country road or a county road. There's never a cop over here. Why is it going off? And it's only in the same spot every time I pass. Past this
Right.
little curb, it happens. So, and they'll use the mirrors on your car to bounce the laser to hit you. Um,
Well, I've experienced that many times. Thank you for pointing that out. I thought I was picking up on a pattern, but didn't understand it was the mirror. But it's always on my left ear. This is where I get hit most, is on my left side. I'll feel the hit, and then I'll get the ringing, and then it fades out, and then my head is burning, with
Burning.
the heat. But in the car, especially, there goes that pressure, and I did not make the connection to the mirror right next to me that they were it,
Bouncing.
they target that mirror and then hit it, bounce
Yep.
it, right?
Yep. Just like
Is
any
that
laser
like
would.
beam steering? Is that what kind of like
No,
beam
that
steering?
well, that's I would imagine it's just a laser eye, that like a ball that kind of moves and
Mm-hmm.
tracks you as you move. It's AI doing it, obviously, but it'll try to hit you when you're coming to the tower, or the area where they have it. It'll try to hit you directly through the window, but once you pass it up, it'll use the mirror to bounce off and still hit you, or it'll use another car next to you to bounce off that to hit you. And it's very good with aiming and doing the geometry on the fly. Um,
So I mean, essentially, for it to pick up on us, right?
It already knows that we're
And
coming around the corner from the
yeah,
pulsing on the top of the head. Yeah,
so is it almost like because we are antennas with this tech and this garbage that makes us, we're already energetic, we
right,
have, our bodies are electrical, so then you have this bioweapon particulates that are kind of making us more readable in terms of being a human antenna. So
right.
these things obviously are tuned in
Oh yeah,
to being able to pick up on us.
correct.
Uh, it's
Or
just
or it's picking up on our the
our
reflected signal.
resonance.
Well, the reflected signal that's bouncing off our heads from the Mercator satellites, because it still gets you when you're moving. It'll still track you when you're moving. So it knows when you're about to come around that corner where they have a cell tower with that laser installed. Not all of them have it, but if you have an
Well, if we
older,
all have our own DNA resonance frequency that's unique, and we're
then
in
they,
a database, so these
oh yeah,
systems, which are obviously used for communications and also bio weapons, that are tuned in, if we're in some kind of data bank and then it picks up on that frequency, then it can easily identify. I mean, I'm just trying to think and try to connect the
well
dots with
yeah,
all of it. So
yeah,
that would make sense. So,
and it would make sense why I've had a lot of reports that people saying that using the SK in the car, the Silent Night in the car, it's either disrupting AI's ability to pick up the data from your body, um, or it's just completely blocking, or making the data corrupt where it can't use it, because they're saying like their mob scenes are disorganized. It's never on time anymore, um, and they just feel a little more free,
hmm
because all the gang stalking is just not up to par anymore. And I've noticed the same thing too. Like the with the laser tracking, or the laser hits that you use while I'm driving. When I run with the SK in the truck, it's almost sometimes it like misses me, or it's erratic. It doesn't always hit me on those normal areas, those normal spots on the road where it usually gets me. So it's almost like it's uh, hiding or masking your resonant frequency and confusing the AI. Um, because it does put off a lot of digital RF noise also. So I would imagine it's definitely wreaking havoc on their data that they're collecting from your body. Um,
I'm going to try to put on the screen. Hold on, let me share. And I'm going to show everyone, for those that are not familiar with the Silent Night. And this is a product that Armando created. And I have one myself, and I use it every single night. It's since using it, I didn't realize that I had not been dreaming. and it for some time until I started using it and I started to dream again. So obviously, I know that they really attack us hard while we are trying to sleep. And so that was a big
Yep.
difference that I made in addition to blocking. And I have V2K. So in the blocking, but I have to kind of make adjustments and as necessary because they try to get clever with their shenanigans because they want to mess with you, right? But I, in addition to using the Silent Night, I sleep on a grounded flat sheet on my mattress and a grounded pillowcase too. So that's something that I do with the Silent Night next to me as well. I
And you
ground it to
you keep up with the detox, and that's what really helps too.
yes, yeah, absolutely. I'm on a regular detox schedule where it's 3 days on, 11 days off. But I think I'm gonna add in the EDTA with it. Um, or it could be that that's what is. I do two different things. It's a product. One is called Brain Clear, and the other one is Cyto Detox Plus, which both of them are about getting the past the blood brain barrier to those heavy metal toxins that have attached themselves to our brain, and also cleaning up the rest. The activated charcoal and everything binders are very important to grab on to what the cleaners are doing and get them out and flush them out of your system. Um,
You do
you know,
have to keep up with supplements though when you do activate charcoal because it really does grab good minerals too.
it grabs it all.
Yeah.
You gotta continuously. Let me see if I can bring up the
The
web page.
bentonite clay is a little more safe for heavy metal detoxing.
I
Um,
need
I,
to
I,
probably try look into the Dr. Boslow.
yeah, because it's the activated charcoal content that's in the capsules. It's a perfect blend. That's why they call it the binder blend. But it's not so harsh grabbing all the even the good minerals in your body. Um, it's a good well balanced deal. But the they also have just straight bentonite clay liquid that you can get from your local farmers market or holistic store. And you just put a tablespoon in water or um, in some orange juice is what I use, and I kind of alternate from the binder blend and just use the bentonite clay back and forth just to get my body rest from the activated charcoal. Um, but it's been working for me, and it's been working for the people that at taking our suggestions on the detoxing. They see it, and you'll notice a difference within 2 3 days of doing it. Just
Well,
imagine what a go ahead.
can you and Jasmine type out your detox routine? That was a question from one of our
Yeah.
viewers, and send that to me so I can put it on the Chosen Heroes. And if
Okay.
you're not on then don't have access to my X page, just send me an email at chosen_heroes at proton.me and I will send it to you once I receive it. Um, I have on the screen now the Silent Night device that Armando is the creator, and this is what it looks like. It has the antennas that you can adjust, and it comes with it's a USB for those on the go. Like he said, that some people will use it in their car. So if your car has a USB port, you'll need a good quality USB outlet to plug the cord into to connect to the wall. Um, like I said, I've been using this several months now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Armando,
You
I
sure
think
have.
since January. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
And
still
like
cold. It was still cold when you got it.
yeah. And I've been using it since then. I use it. It's right by my side of the bed, and I plug it in right there. And like I said, sometimes I have to make some adjustments of where I put it, or there's a
Let
little.
me ask you.
Mhm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
I was gonna ask you, has your husband noticed any difference in sleep patterns or anything at all?
I think he's had more restful sleep.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
had a few TIs say that their significant other even not, they're not targeted, but they notice their mood has changed. They're a lot better moods. They're a little more easygoing. Their sleep is better too.
Mhm.
So it's always good when it helps. Not only the TI but their significant other. Um, it just shows you like the crap floating around in the air that's invisible that they're doing to us. It can be blocked or it can be used and altered to make it positive because they're definitely using it for negative nefarious purposes, but they know how to create the good waves, but they're not going to release that to the public, obviously.
Right,
um,
and we had someone asking how does the silent night work? So it creates that field, that
the
shield,
electrical field.
the
Right.
electrical field around you, and it can go what 5 to 6 feet out,
Well,
depending
no,
on
actually,
the
the newer models that are that were
8.
that we updated, I think I've gone off up to about 15 feet, 15 to 18 feet, with good stable output at that range.
Well,
I think your device also will work that far, depending on
okay,
how close
great.
you are to the cell towers, though. Yeah.
Well, I'm big city. They're everywhere over here, so
Yeah, so
it's
you have to be a little closer to it.
yeah. I sleep next to it. I'm like with
Yeah, I
V2K.
mean,
I'm just like, well, for me, I noticed that what it does is it starts scrambling it. It starts garbling the garbage, and then it just kind of
right.
fades out. And that it's but again, I also like the ozone that the device creates. You can smell the cleanness. It's like very clean.
Crisp.
It
You don't have particles floating around anymore. Like we used to have a lot of particles just floating in the air randomly, um, and we don't have that anymore like we used to.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
like the idea too about the clips and the Faraday fabric.
right.
That's a good idea. The chicken wire. As you can see, with what he's talking about with the clips, is you can get the clip and have
The
it attached to the
Right. It's just a wire with two alligator clips on one on each end, and you just clip it to the antenna, and then you clip the other end to the Faraday cage or the fabric. I believe Anna Toledo has some stuff on her X or her Substack on the Faraday cage she made, and the her hooking up her Silent Nights to it. So there's plenty of stuff that she has that I've helped her make and stuff. That anybody can go and see how she did it or how we did it,
mhm.
for example, for people to get ideas. But for the most part it's kind of easy for her because she's in a little RV, so it doesn't take much to make a little dome, I guess you could say, around her bed. um but
I
for the
was going
most
to
part.
show that your other Dr. Clark's zapper. You want to talk
Right
to
now,
them about that?
yeah, the Dr. Clark zapper is not my creation. I did recreate the circuit for the function of what hers does. I found an easier way of doing it. And my daughter uses it. My wife uses it. What it does, it oscillates at close to about 30 kilohertz, and you just grab both of the probes and use it for 7 minutes at a time, um, and it makes any kind of parasites that are in your body want to leave your body, and might kill even some of the bacteria, bad bacteria, and any kind of fungus. Um, so we use that, especially around the time when everybody's always getting sick. Um, and I've sold a few of them with good positive outcomes with how they use it. So Dr. Hula Clark, spent her pretty much her life researching her work on this device and a few other devices that she made. Um, but I think she was 96 back in 2006 when she passed. Um,
Wow.
and she was coming out a long time ago about big pharma and how it's, it's
Mm-hmm.
all a lie, and
Mm-hmm.
explaining, that she was doing that back in the 90s. So there've been doctors out there that have trying to, come out and tell the truth, but nobody was listening, not until the whole COVID thing happened.
And so you now the Great Reset that Armando was mentioning earlier is different from the Zapper. So this one
Right.
is about killing the fungus and the parasites,
And the
strengthening
parasites in your
the
body.
immune system, and so yeah,
It-
that's
it's
pretty awesome.
you could just look up Dr. Clark and put Dr. Clark Zapper, and you can find any website that has from her foundation, and you can read about it. There, a lot of the information and the research data is on her website or on those websites, because they still have the foundation going. Even after she passed, and they gave the actual circuit that they how she made the circuit. They put it on the website so you can make it yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just found a better way of doing it, more efficient way of doing it. Only because of, I guess, of the knowledge I've obtained in the past 6 years of RF and circuits and electronics. But her hobby was ham radio, so
Oh
I thought that
wow.
was, yeah, her hobby was ham radio. That's why she was into this kind of stuff. But the great reset, the zapper is, I have to finish putting that on my website. Um, but I think
Well, and you will have, for those that are able to make it at the Houston meeting, you'll have the Zapper. Will you
right.
have the, can you bring one of the Dr. Clark
Yes,
Zappers?
I have. I think I have about two or three of them here.
Yeah,
I'll
so
bring. Yeah,
I myself is very interested in that. I know that some of these frequencies that they use against our bodies, I've read in multiple researches that it is very parasitic and mold and fungal.
yep,
So again, wanting to keep your body really clean from things that promote and spread that type, making sure that your environment is clean from mold and detoxing if you have had mold exposure to get that stuff out of your body. I myself went on a mold detox regime too. There is and it's always important to make sure that you are not promoting that. For those that are prone to, and I think a lot of people with some autoimmune stuff, which I have autoimmune stuff, the Candida fungal too, that stuff is pretty bad as well, and you want to make sure that you're purging your body from that as well. Sugar is like gasoline to Candida. And if you're trying to die off from that, have that fungus die off in you, that's a psychological trip right there in itself, because those things are almost like angry and they want you to consume more sugar. So I've been like
yep,
sugar free for quite some time, and I'm telling you, I'll never go back into the
yeah. I
life
mean, we
of
use
eating any
honey.
kind of
We use
sugar.
honey. We use honey
Yeah,
for sweetening most of our stuff.
yeah, there's just natural things that you can use, like organic monk fruit. I don't miss it at all, and I was a big sugar person. So once all of I got all that stuff killed out of me, I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't even miss it, because it's like I was in the late afternoon craving it like for fuel, but I've been doing fat for fuel. So I do like MCT8 oil, and not everyone can consume fat without having the maybe the gastrointestinal issues, but it seems to be working for me.
right.
And just eating clean in general, I'm trying to the best, because things are so expensive, but you can only do your best. But making small changes make a big, huge difference.
They
And
do,
I know,
and try growing your own vegetables, even if you don't have a lot of space, you can grow. There's many vegetables and fruits you can grow in pots, and will grow with just putting them by the window. But if you have a small enough backyard, use it and grow your own. You'll notice a world of difference of taste and and just the cleanliness of growing your own vegetables. My wife loves the broccoli I grow. Like she's like, "There's no dead worms or anything in it. You don't have to wash it." But we wash everything. But a lot of the store bought broccoli that you find tiny little worms dead in it. You have to really wash it real good. But like
Yeah.
with mine, we use organic. Pesticides. So like neem oil, pressed neem oil, and diatomaceous earth. That's what we use to try to keep pests at bay. But for the most part, the vegetable, like we ate at IHOP the other day just because we wanted to go out with baby and gone out in a while. Oh my god, it was the worst mistake we ever made. Jesus, I didn't know how good we were eating until going to IHOP. I mean, it's no wonder everybody's staying sick. It was it took us a while to detox from that for a few days. And I'm like, babe, like we actually are eating pretty good compared to what people are eating out here. I mean, this is ridiculous. It was bad. It was very bad. Um, but that being said, you have to be diligent and stay on your detoxing regimens and trying to eat healthy. I was a big sugar person too, and I still eat my little sweetbreads here and there. But for the for the most part, my wife makes. She actually is a very good baker and makes my sweet stuff without having the extra sugar or any kind of sugar in it. But for the most part, just eating healthy, eating some greens once a day at least. If you don't like greens, just eat it once a day. You don't have to have 3 times of greens, but the more the merrier. Um, and it's not hard growing your own vegetables. Most vegetables are easy to grow. Just have to give the plant what they want, what they need.
Yeah.
Um,
I that is something that I really want to try to get into is growing my own stuff. I mean, I try to buy the organic, but I still make sure that I clean it very thoroughly. I even have a
there,
blue light little device that you put like ancient sea salt in the bucket with the blue light device to try to kill some of that stuff off of there. Even
right?
though it's organic, doesn't mean that it's not toxic. So
Though their organic definition of the FDA is very loose.
yeah, it's very loose. Yeah.
I mean, it's almost laughable. Like you can just they've been paid off. They've been paying off all the right people for decades now in order to implement all this, m- you know, toxins in our foods, and the FDA be okay about it, or the CDC and everybody who's in charge of making sure that what we're consuming is not toxic. They got paid off to just look the other way, pretty much, for these corporations to toxify us and give us toxema. You know, and our children. Like my wife just the other night was reading how RFK's doing an investigation on they're finding 40 different baby formula companies that they're finding heavy metals in the formula. They're finding toxins, all kinds of stuff. It's like, well, yeah, they need to for the next generation. They need to pump them up full of heavy metals and get them sick so that they're big pharma customers for the rest of their life. And yeah, you can't even find healthy snacks for children anymore. Everything has sugar in it, loaded with
Yeah, I
sugar.
mean, and seed oils that are high in
Yeah,
inflammation,
seed oils,
that's just going to add to your oxidative
sunflower.
stress. And yeah,
Yeah, sunflower oils, seed oils.
yeah,
We use a
we
lot of
really have to
coconut oil.
nurture our bodies because the majority of everything that's out there has some kind of toxin in it. We got to have a
Right.
detox routine, especially when we're heavily targeted. We have to get into that. So I appreciate you wanting to document out the detoxing or any recommendations that you have. And again, No, we're not, doctors or anything like
No.
that. But what we do is we share with our community and do your research and see if maybe these suggestions may be something that, work for you. As always, when you're doing your research, you want to make sure if you are on medication that there's not going to be a contradictive
Resp-
reaction to any kind of supplements and such. You may want to speak with your doctor if you're seeing one, or if you want to, try it out. But make sure you can always research supplements and find out what's in it, and just knowing if it's right for you. That's the biggest thing these days. People take they take one
I
thing, but they don't do the research and how it's going to relate
react.
to you and yourself. And not to go off on a sideways subject, but I was just thinking today, things that are spoken against, targeted justice and stuff. You takes one person to say something negative, and it's digested as truth with no validation or research or due diligence process. Kind of like what
Right.
the government is doing to us. We had no due diligence. We were all we were they were the judge, juror, and jailer of us by just
Prosecution.
by just putting us on a black list without even taking one thought to, oh, well, let's just validate this information. Likely there was an incentive to not look. And that's
Right.
why there's so many of us. And then they feed us over to these institutions and, corporations and research facilities to, for the greater, research of the future, which is anti-human, right? So,
Right.
it's just this whole nefarious thing going on. But when it's the same thing, when somebody says something against anybody, really, instead of, just, making, a quick judgment that that's the truth, you have to challenge it. These are in the times where you got to challenge everything that you hear, see, read,
And
or is spoken.
look it up for yourself. Research it. Yeah,
Absolutely,
I
because
know
you don't know if that person was manipulated by frequencies and being
it takes time
programmed to have,
sometimes, but isn't it worth it to know the actual
just
truth?
take a little bit of time. I mean, I don't when there is good and there is movement against evil forces, then there's always going to be a counter. And
Right.
really, we're all in this fight together. We need to be of that mindset that before we pass judgment and spread misinformation, do due diligence and research for yourself and come to the conclusion whether or not that statement is true or false. And then that way you're not part of the misinformation agenda.
Right.
Right?
Right. Which many leftists are just part of it. They just repeat everything they hear from their legacy media. But that's what you're doing here. That's what you're doing. You're bringing out the truth and the news of what is the real truth, because you do your research and you do your due diligence
And
to figure out.
I say that I say this with wholeheartedness. I have been with Targeted Justice since last year. Doing they approached me about the podcast, and I think it was God's way and making it happen. And I have never witnessed anything that has led me to believe these lies that have been said. And I just don't understand why there's such a divide amongst the groups. There's different groups. We all got the mission. We don't want to become cyborgs. We want the torture to end. We want children to have a future that God um,
Intended.
intended, and we want the oppression off of us and these attacks. We want to do what's right for the earth and all the living beings, so that there will be a future generations that know what it's like to be part of God's creation, and not a mutated version of God's creation, of this man versus machine, and this control and manipulation, and all the fruits of what pride and greed bring with it. So here we are, truth speakers and sayers, and we're using our voice as the weapon to speak out against these injustices. And we just need to be kind to one another. We want the same thing. So there,
Right.
we need to lay
You
down, you know, and do our research. Lay down the
got
sword
it.
and do the research. You know.
Well, Jesus has given you the sword of Babylon, which it was his tongue. Jesus' tongue can be much more powerful than the actual sword. But
That is right.
the words,
That's
word,
right.
the words of wisdom and knowledge can be much more powerful than the sword in certain times. um, but that's just for the people that has been gifted with that, is you know how to talk to people, you can get through to people. And I think you've done great since you started. You know, I've been with Targeted Justice since about going on 6 years now. I've been working with Lighthouse ever since the first time I met him. Um, you know, and I haven't stopped. Once we figured out what was going on, I haven't stopped, because I want my daughter to have grow up to have a free life, not worry about having to be shielding or jamming or blocking or none of this BS, none of this bullshit. You know, like we shouldn't have to deal with that, but we are,
No,
and I'm not
no,
gonna
we
stop.
shouldn't. We don't deserve
I'm not gonna
this.
stop until her no, and I'm not gonna stop until her future is free. And there's no money in prosperity and freedom. You know, this is why they do the forever wars and implement what they're doing, because there's so much money to be made doing this. But for the warmongers, there's no money to be made in peace and prosperity, and times of peace and
That's it
prosperity.
exactly. There's no money in peace. There's no, because the greed agenda and
The
doesn't
devil's
fit with
hands,
that.
right?
That's why we have to, we as individuals have to take our power back and stand in truth and what is right, and never surrender to evil or the darkness. We got to keep going. These recent uptick in attacks is only evident that we are creating a stir, and we're going to use our powerful voice, and we are under God's umbrella of protection. He is our shield and our strength. And the devil don't like light, wickedness don't like truth. So you need to do what the opposite of what is trying to gain its hooks and root inside of you from these frequencies and mind control technology. Again, prayer is very powerful. The warfare, the spiritual warfare of prayers, like what I gave as an example at the beginning when I said the prayer, that is protecting you, and in training is training your mind, your subconscious, which is 99% driving the bus of all things, based on and shape formed on your experiences, your traumas, and everything that you've gone through since you've been a part of the world, right? So it's
Yep.
driving the bus. You've got to get to the bus, the driver of the bus, which is that subconscious, and train it to protect you as a firewall. And that's what the biweekly call with Jamie Rice is really centered on, is getting into these times and taking our power back and reclaiming our healing in our bodies, and not being manipulated by the system of these tactics and technology being used to um, entrain us. Because if I don't know if any of you have experienced, but once you can get easily sucked into the social media stuff, there's just so much out there, right? But you got to be able to, okay, if you're fanning the flames of awareness, that's one thing. But then here goes all the advertising and all the
Yep.
little videos that are
And
trying to
it's
capture
it's
your little attention.
addiction. They
Right? And
know
to
how
try to
to.
suck
Yeah,
you out of your agenda and what you need to be doing for the day and try to lure you into buying something or
or
looking at
wasting your
something.
time.
Right, wasting your time and not spreading awareness or doing what is healthy and best for you. So it's just important to remain cognizant and catch yourself in the loops of it, and you're going, oh, I need to step back and disconnect from this. I have things that I need to do today, or I'll just go, spread some truth and awareness instead of getting sucked down that rabbit hole that is trying
And,
to distract me.
and they know what to do and how to do it with the social media, to make you addicted, because they've done the research themselves. They did this years ago. Zuckerberg put a lot of money into this research because they wanted to know what exactly it is that makes it addictive, so they can further, push that, so they can get more people addicted. And it's messing up our youth. It's really messing them up, making our youth depressed. So we stay away from that. Um, but that being said, you have to set times for being on social media and actually getting some
And it needs
stuff
to be a
done.
healthy balance. Don't forget about the sun. Don't forget about,
Oh yeah,
going and disconnecting because sometimes with all that's going on in the world right now, it's very stressful, because there's so much going on, there's so much chaos, right? And that vibe of chaos is there. So we have to go back. What made brought you joy as a child? Go back into honoring the child within. Like, I just love music, and it gives you that
yeah.
outlet to disconnect. It's a healthy outlet. That's what we need. We need to have a balance from all of the day to day, and honor ourselves and our bodies as we
And our
honor
minds.
God and the light. Yeah.
Yeah, I just recently started getting back into my music. Started playing the piano again and the guitar. Essentially, I traded my guitar and my microphone and my recording device for a gun and a signal analyzer, when this whole thing started. And I didn't touch the guitar, the piano, or any of the instruments for damn near 4 years. So
And our creative outlets are what is so important. That is
right,
where we can have our self expression and who we
what
are.
what we love to
And
do, what we
yeah,
you know,
sometimes life gets way too busy as it is without all of this stuff happening. We really need to honor that part and allow that that sacred time to connect with what we really enjoy, because we can get really caught up in the waves of all this with being attacked and everything, and we got to create that time. It's, they say work life balance, but we are, as targets, we have to have that balance too, um, as well, because we've got to find a way and being able to have some joy in things that we love. I know that the odds are really not in our favor, but we're warriors of light, and we're going to turn the tables on it. And I promise you, if you start taking those action steps toward, reclaiming your life, you can, and you will find that you build up this resilience against these traps and techniques that are being used against you. So
and
recognize them as a trap.
the first thing I think that you can do to start is turn off your phone, put it in a Faraday bag, and step away from it. And you'll notice, just by doing that, you'll notice how your mind will start actually working like it should, and start thinking for itself, and you get your creativity back. Start getting away from RF exposure. Try to de-Wi-Fi
Yeah,
your house. Turn off the Wi-Fi when you're not using it. Just turn it off. Turn off the router. Turn off your phone, and you'd be surprised how the fog and the mental clarity will come back, and that fog will start going away, along with taking your extra calcium. But turning off and getting rid of the RF exposure is a big thing. You you will notice right within the day. You notice the difference. That's why a lot of times I don't get back to you right away because my phone is either in the truck away from me or it's in the Faraday bag, and I always figure I'll just answer whenever I'm ready to pick up the phone again. But I got to get stuff
I
done. I got to
can't
get
tell you
orders
enough
in.
that phone in a Faraday bag, or you can make your own out of the fabric and stuff.
Yep.
Anything to get some of that, because the my attacks have been more recently, and I was getting like burned on the side of my face a couple of times.
I'm getting
But
I'm getting burned every day.
yeah,
They are pissed off at me, and they try to burn
yeah,
my garage down. The 2 weeks,
I
3 weeks
know.
ago, they tried
Yes,
to burn it
yes.
down.
He got he was his attack got so bad they were trying to burn the room that where he builds these devices to help our
Yeah, the
community.
shop.
Um,
They're trying to burn the shop down. Well, I mean,
they
they've
burn it
thrown
down.
honeypots at me. They tried honeypotting me, and that didn't work. Um, they tried to set me up, and that didn't work. So I guess next thing was, well, let's just burn the shop down so he can't build them. But that's not going to stop me, even if they burned it down. But God had a different plan. I was able to stop it right away for the most part. It was minimal damage, and I was able to move the workbench over to the other side of the garage and keep working. After a few days of cleaning up, but um, if God wants me to stop, he'll let me know. And right now, it's not the time to stop.
All right, I was going to see if we had a couple of questions before we wrap up here today.
Sure thing.
Let's see. Thank you all for attending. You are always so wonderful. All right, I'm going to show this one. Battle for Your Brain, the W-band wireless body net area network tied to the Internet of Things. That's what IoT stands for. And IOB, Internet of Bodies, wirelessly tracked, remote neural monitoring. TIs have been covertly implanted. There's so many different ways they can achieve this. Again, there's so many programs, and depending on which one we got farmed out to is the way I like to call it.
Yep.
Let's see. Patience and faith. Yes,
They
patience and
they
faith.
they're actually using many different frequency, many different bands at once for a lot of people, for a lot of TIs. And that's the good thing about the SK. It's so wide banded that it will cover. If you don't know the bands you're using, well, how about let's just bring the noise floor up on all the bands, and say F it. Um,
Yes,
let them try to pick out my data, my body data from all that noise. You
that's
know.
yeah. Battle for Your Brain says majority of the public knows the truth. We've been lied to, dehumanized, and excommunicated as the general public gets to monitor us like animals or lose our freedom is their gain in power over us. Well, we're not gonna let them win. We see
That's why we
what's
just keep doing, keep fighting.
we got to keep up the good fight. I know some days are hard, but you got to get back up and just keep going. That's all we could do. We're going to keep winning because we're making them nervous. We're getting the ripples. We're not
Oh
going
yeah.
to sit down anymore and accept the fact that nobody wants to talk about us, because we're going to take the bull by the horns and we're going to take it into our own hands. We're going to get it out there whether they want it or not. I don't care if somebody responds to me when I post on their thread or not. I'm just going to keep on doing it. Because
That's it.
every time I do post on it, then more people become aware and they start liking what I said, and then it gets
And all
them
you
to
gotta do is
thinking and
plant that seed.
researching.
Yep. You gotta
That's all
plant
you
that
have to do
seed,
is
and,
plant
and
the
that's
seed.
it.
God will do the rest. God's going to
Yep.
fertilize it and make it grow. Okay. We're
Oh
just
yeah.
throwing them seeds out there. Those seeds of truth, the seeds of light, and God is going to do the heavy
It's
lifting.
a lot easier to tell the truth than to keep up a lie.
I know, and these people, their whole worlds are crumbling down. And
Because they can't keep up with the lies.
Mm-hmm. And here's another thing. It's going to be like a domino effect. I was getting like an image of
That's already
dominoes
happening.
falling, and
It's already
it's
happening.
because they're going to be selling out people left and right to save
Yep.
their own skins, and it's going to
Yep.
be this whole domino effect. Watch it. There's going to be finger pointing this way, that way, trying to absolve themselves from the dastardly things that they have committed and against humanity. But we see through you. You are a willing free will participant to be a part of that. And if you think that you're protected under some cloak of truth and secrecy or brotherhood or whatever you want to call it, that
There's plenty of
you're a
that.
fool because you took the bait and you did their work, their evil
Yep.
work for them, for the evil forces. And if you think for any second that this cannot happen to you and your families, then think again, because some of these people that were participants of this stuff are already outing. They're suiciding them, making it look like this is what they do
Yeah.
when you
Yep.
participate and you sell your soul out to the evil and the devil, and you think that the devil's got your back, then you have another thing coming. So, if there is any resemblance of a soul left in yourself, you better be on your knees praying for forgiveness, because light is coming for you, and God's hand in his wrath are coming your way. There is no way that we as warriors of light are not cloaked under God, and this injustice that's going on against us will be revealed. It is the timeline that this be revealed. It can no longer persist at this. They opened the door saying it was truth and transparency, and God's breaking it down. So,
Yep. Yeah. They opened the door. They said they're going to open the door, but they only opened the peephole.
yeah, I mean, they're just throwing
Or
these
their
little
little mail
bubbles out
slot, or the little
there.
mail slot, and
The way
God's
I look
judgment.
at it is, and I open the door for somebody to prove it wrong. You're going to bring
Yeah.
up the fact of this, Epstein pedo island business, but there hadn't been one person arrested over it. You're going to
Nope.
sit there and talk about these files, and they have yet to be delivered with this faux attempt, photo op. Let's call it a photo op attempt with this old school binder saying Epstein files which was nothing but a bunch of
Stuff.
lunacy.
Well, it's a
It
bunch of
was
stuff they already released back in 2016 or 2018.
Yes,
You
and,
know.
and then the JFK files where they just boast all of them out there. Some of them redacted, even though it's full of transparency,
Right.
and we already knew who was involved with that. Bit no shock to us, the own government, right? So,
Yep.
um, it's like, come on, you're sitting, and then this whole swatting event with the media people, which prove me wrong. Is it not our own an inside job on that as well? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
come on. What we're learning, when people show you who they are, then believe it. You know, this is what we are being shown, that this has been going on for a very long time. This is nothing new about this veiled manipulation, and the truth, getting you know silenced on the mass media platform. We're still under censorship. We're still having that
Yeah.
happen. When people start getting charged for doing the wrongdoing and participating in things that harmed people, like these bioweapons called vaccines that they got us in 2020 with, right? All of that stuff. Why aren't people going to jail when you know that this stuff has poisoned and damaged people in their bodies, and you're still allowing the frequencies to hit us? Why? I mean,
Still, still allowing for some vaccines to keep being out there.
it's madness. So we have
Yep.
to take it into our own hands. We cannot trust what is being served to us. We've got to do our due diligence and our research, and we got to keep spreading the truth. That's how we win this. This is how we win this. They don't like it at all
Amen.
that we are making these waves. Like I said, it doesn't matter if somebody receives what you've stated and shared. It doesn't matter at all because you put the truth out there. And that is a win. That's a win for us all when you put the truth out there. Not everybody's, you can lead a horse to water, but doesn't mean they're going to drink it. But it may activate within them at a later point in time and they're going to remember it. So just know that these seeds of light and truth that we are putting out there, even though not everybody may welcome it, and we're not going to let anybody forget about us. We are going to be that squeaky wheel that never stops squeaking until someone takes action in power and authority to make it end. We're not going to go away. We're not going to be silenced. We're always going to speak our truth. We know what we go through each and every day, and we got to be there for one another. That is what Targeted Justice, lives and breathes by daily, is educating us, creating spaces for us to have community, along with the TI events too. There's so much out there for us. I mean, for as many of us that there are, why has there not been more mainstream on this? And the ones that have been mainstream in the past get canceled and get labeled as conspiracy theorists. But if my money was on somebody, it's a conspiracy theorist at these days and times, because all of
Yeah.
these conspiracies have come true, and those
Yep.
people were outcasted, just like what we are going through before as being lunatic, or it's just a conspiracy, all of this stuff. But we're on to something, and we're going to continue spreading the light.
Melissa, the way I see it, the TI community, we're ahead of the curve. We're ahead of
We
everybody
are
else
ahead of the curve. We
because
are.
we have the information that nobody else has because nobody
Mm-mm.
else wants to listen to it. We know that the vaccines are bad. We know about the truth about big pharma. We know about how to combat all that because we've been doing it already for years now because of the targeting. We know how the RF exposure. We know this stuff. We know how to battle it, and we know how to come above it. Now, the people that are not TIs, well, they're left behind. They're gonna have to catch up eventually. But for now, we're ahead of everybody. So I think it's okay. Like let them do what they do. We're ahead of the curve, and we will be ahead when it's all said and done, and we're gonna be first. Right
The
right
way
now, we
that
might go ahead.
exactly. We have got such an advantage in this time right now.
Yep.
And this is where we have to shift our mindset to understand what advantage we do have. It doesn't feel like an advantage, it doesn't feel like a blessing, but we have gained so much knowledge and wisdom by having this experience, where the majority of the world is just
Asleep.
asleep, and they're going to be in the throes of it. If evil gets its way, everyone is going to be a hybrid. Okay. We've got to stand up against this and say it is not okay to violate our bodies and to lie to us and to manipulate us and inject us and spray things and without our consent or knowledge. It is not right to warrantlessly surveil us for no wrongdoing that we have done. We have done no wrongdoing. We are law abiding citizens. This, you don't get to come and invade into our lives and our bodies, and do this violation against us and think that we're just going to sit there, because their system has failed, because we were supposed to be running in a corner, hiding with the cover over our face in a dark hole, or dead. And here we are
Right.
still standing. And every day that you get up is a win against this evil. You have to recognize the patterns of what it's trying to do to you. It is trying to make you stumble. It's trying to make you recoil and not move forward in your life, for your health, for your connection with God, for your, just how you feel about yourself. It's all self destroying, right? Self destructive, self destroying, wanting you to act out and do something in violence to get you labeled, incarcerated, and charged, institutionalized. And that is where they feel like if they get you there, then they can discredit you. Anything to shame you and character assassinate you is what the agenda is. You've got to see outside of the design of these programs and be in it to win it for yourself, okay, and for the community. And these are sound words of wisdom by us, many of us who have been in this for many years. If you are new to this, I'm 13 years into it. I wish that in the beginning, there wasn't near what's out there right now, and there wasn't the communities. There were some, but it was so minimal at that point in time in 2012. This is why we got to we're going to take the pain that has been inflicted on us, and we're going to turn it into purpose, and we're going to educate and spread that knowledge out to those that are just now understanding what is going on, that something is going on against it, because this is a mass agenda. So it's not
Yep.
just it's not a it's not an if, it's a when, if things keep going at the way they are right now. But God's hands in this too, because they open the door for him to come in saying truth and transparency. Okay, so we're just going to do what we do best and keep fanning the flame and
Yep.
helping each other out. If you see a fellow TI, someone in the community struggling, reach out, give them words of encouragement, help pray for them, and let them know that they're not alone in this fight. We are all in it together. Let's see, we've had, yeah, I mean, someone said they're cowards. Yes, these people, this is a cowardly way at attacking. You can't even be transparent. Look at what they've done to impede themselves upon us in our
Yep.
lives and our bodies, and there was no transparency. And there needs to be accountability, because I don't know about you, Armando, but I would rather not have a spiritual 2x4 slammed at me by God. I would rather to be a good human and do the right thing and repent and change my ways in my heart and reconcile myself than to have the wrath of God upon me. And some of these
Amen.
people,
Yeah.
they're just going to be running. They're thinking that they're going to smell like a rose and acting like a devil on the other end. So all of this, all exposed, all fall down. We have the tools. We see through the madness. We're going to reclaim our bodies and take our power back, because we were gifted this power. We have so much that they don't want us to tap into, which is the gifts of God. Okay, they
Yep.
do not want that to happen, because they know once we tap in to the light and the source that outside of ourselves that is holy and God and all that is, they have no no skin in the game with us at all.
No,
So
they have no technology, no device that can beat that.
yeah, there ain't
That can
nothing. There ain't nothing that they could do to outrun God. Just watch them make fools of themselves as they're
that's it.
stumbling out there, running around in the
And so the
foolery that they do
and
and the
s-
shenanigans. Because there ain't
yes,
nothing, nothing
so
is
the
going to
so the
trump
wicked
God. Okay,
so the wicked will fall into their own traps that were set for you,
that is right.
and and I've seen though that happen. I was able to witness that the trap set for me fail and come back on the person that tried to set it,
That's
and
right.
and I didn't even do it. It was somebody else that stood up for me that I was about to, but they beat me to it, and it was awesome. It was just a little taste of what is to come. You know, it's just a little taste of what is to come, and all the glory goes to God.
I'm completely astonished over and over again by God intervening on things that
Oh
should
yeah,
have
he never
long,
ceases to
long
amaze me.
since ended me, long since ended me. And here comes his favor in the situation saying, I have my hand over you. You just keep on going.
Yep.
And he intercepted things, the favor of God on us. I pray for
I,
everyone. I
I
pray for
can't.
our
I don't even
community.
know. I can't. I don't even know how many times he's protected me, and I don't even know like how, when, and how many times he's thwarted these traps. But I was able to see one, recently, and it was glorious, and I got to sit back and see it. I didn't have to do anything. But how many of those traps did he, mess up for them that were meant for me? I wonder.
Oh, I
Because
know. It's like
they
countless.
that's
I
that's
did,
why they tried to burn the shop down, because probably
the
they probably set a lot of traps and none of them were working.
lots of them, because
You know?
that's the way the pride, pride's going to take a fall. They're so confident and so thinking, oh, I can just manipulate and ruin someone's life and do all these things, and in a sense have a power. Like to them, it's empowerment. It's a misuse of a power. That is the biggest karmic debt that anyone can acquire in their life, is an abuse of power and control over others that is not for their highest good. And that right there is God coming down on it. That is the
Yeah,
worst thing that somebody could do, is
it comes
to
back 4 times
abuse.
or 10 times worse.
Absolutely. So here's something that I always say too is, I am one. I am one with God, and that His will be done, and that He has given me the eyes to see and the ears to hear only what is His word and the truth. And what touches me touches God. Do you understand how powerful that is, everyone? What touches you touches God. If you serve the light and you are of the light and you are being touched by wickedness and you are with God, then they are touching God, His chosen heroes, His children. That's why this is called the chosen heroes. When darkness touches you, it is touching God. And then the wrath of God will be upon them in exposing the wickedness and their malevolent hearts and their evil minds and all of their agendas that are built in greed, lust, manipulation, power, control, all of the
just a
wickedness.
just a little bit of light disperses a lot of darkness.
Exactly. It just sends it running. So that's why we have to continue to pick up that sword of truth, which is the word and God's promise on our lives. And He will continue to guide us and direct us. That's what we have to continuously, like a muscle that we are building, is to connect and know that we are shielded. And you will see the wonders of doing that every day, and taking care of your body and doing what's best for you, and not acting out, not giving in to the taunting, not giving in to the wickedness and the schemes of it. Just keep moving and going, and you will see. Lynn says, from your lips to God's ears. Amen. Yes. God is
Amen.
all seeing and all knowing. He's
He
already
is the
seen what
Alpha
the
and the
enemy
Omega.
has planned. He's already thwarted those plans. This is why they cannot outrun light. Or what is done in darkness, all it needs is a little bit of light, because it'll be revealed.
Yep. Amen. Isn't
Thank you
that
so
beautiful?
much, Armando. This has been so
Thank you for
wonderful.
having me. Yes, it
And
has
I
been. I like.
appreciate you, the detoxing, and with you and Jasmine, if you want to gather up a list for the community, and I'll share
Sure
that
thing.
out. And I definitely want to have Jasmine as a guest, and we need to connect um, at some
You have
point.
her number now, so
I do. And I look forward to communicating with her. I think we will have great conversations. Again, community, God bless each and every one of you. I have on the screen right there Target Source LLC. That's www.targetsourcellc. That is Armando's company, creator of The Silent Night, The Great Reset. He'll have that posted out.
yep.
And then the Zapper is on the page as well. If you have questions, and those who can attend next month's
The
meeting on the
12th.
12th for Targeted Justice in Houston. It's always a good event. Richard Lighthouse Anna Toledo will be there. Armando will be there. I will be there. I'm definitely going to get the Gauss meter scan and try out. I've already tried out the Great Reset. That was when you were first having some. So
Right.
definitely, yes, absolutely. Again, I love each and every one of you. God bless. I pray for this, everyone in the community, and God's favor is on us, and the wicked will be undone. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.